Hashtag punchline sex life.
Yeah. And then, so did you listen to our funny track? Because we have like a workplace track that eventually will make it onto the show whenever we start recording again. But I had like something funny in mind, and I had like a way I wanted it done. So I translated that crazy knowledge to Justin, and I'm like, "Can you make this?" And so he did in like 30 minutes, and it's right on our website. And it's what did they say again?
Well, it's what is it like?
It's in my 50 years of business, we've always done it this way. And like, and
it's never been a problem.
In my 50 years of business, like this has never been an issue. Like all the things that all the old people say, you know. And then the next part is like, we've always done it this way. And it's like set to like a beat.
She wanted like almost like a Seinfeld kind of funk kind of beat with it, you know, like kind of just that kind of funny get you. And
so I put it on our website
and got onto Ableton and was like putting something together. And in about 30 minutes, I got this little beat together. And it's really funny.
We made a little funny ditty.
Awesome. And with that being said, I've been recording this for some time now. So hi, everyone. Welcome to the team check-in. And for the first time in a long while, I am not alone. I'm with Tara Furiani. Did I butcher your last name?
No, you got it perfect. Beautiful pronunciation.
Okay,
and
I'm with
Justin Boggs. Hey.
And we were just talking about this beautiful jingle that you guys made. Is it going to be the theme song for the podcast now?
I mean, it could be. It really could be. I think it has to work its way in. We hadn't considered like a show theme song beyond what we've done for the last 2 seasons.
Besides the
but you know what? I think that we might. I think that we really might.
Yeah.
Certainly fits.
Justin, do you know of this other Justin's podcast? He, the guitar player and the lead singer from The Darkness, Justin Hawkins.
Yeah. I've checked his podcast out. It's pretty good.
Yeah, you can do the whole thing. You know, he has the guitar and the jingle that he does before and after with the Justin Hawkins Rides Again.
It's pretty good. You know who's I've been into is Chris Shifty from Foo Fighters. His new podcast is actually pretty good. It's really fun to hear his kind of like where he came from and all the fun stuff that he's got to do in the Foo Fighters, because he came from other bands like No Use for a Name and Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, and people don't realize that. They just thought, well, they just found this guitar player.
Did you get a chance to listen to their latest album, the latest Foo Fighters record?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did. As soon as it came out, it's like, oh, I got to check this out, because I know it would be Dave Grohl playing the drums again. And I like it. I like it. It's different.
I think it's really Foo Fighter-y, like early Foo Fighters, like when it was just Dave.
Yeah, like
right?
What is it? The Color and the Shape.
It's like kind
very
of in that. And the Shape vein, I think.
Yeah.
I think my first Foo Fighters record was Wasting Light. That was the first Foo Fighters record. That's how I got into them.
Oh, I got into them from the first one, like with the little ray gun on it, like where it's just him doing everything. Sound familiar?
Oh, by the way, this is an HR podcast. Yep.
But you need music in HR? I mean, of all places. So I think it makes sense.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so I need to put the show on track at some point. Well, I mean, this show's never had a track, but I met you guys through being a fan of your podcast, not the HR lady. Right? I had a task of writing the top 20 HR podcasts blog posts, and I had to sit through so many hours of
bless your
HR podcasting.
I bet.
Ugh.
And it all blends in after some point, right? It all merges in. Until I came across your show.
We've heard that before. But thank you. In a good way, right?
Yeah, in the best possible way. Well, right? I came across your show and the whole vibe was different. Everything was different. It was really fun to listen to. And then I kept looking in and I found this one line from your website. I think it was eliminating the fuckery out of HR.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So let's start with that. What is the fuckery in HR?
God, what isn't the fuckery of HR? For me, I think it was like getting to a place professionally, which is kind of how so the show got its name. Let me back up and just start with the show got its name from I was a chief people officer with an organization in the mid 2010s, and I was getting introduced to everybody. Huge company. We were doing like a road show of sorts. And one of the divisional like presidents, if you will, the company that I worked for was like the holdings company. And then we had all these other companies, underneath us. And we were down in Atlanta, probably 1,000 employees. And the president of the organization, who I'd known for like a month now, he's my peer. And he introduced me, pronounced my name wrong. He'd heard my name at least 200 times at this point. And then he proceeded not to call me a chief people officer, but rather the HR lady. And it was so humiliating. And it took a lot to walk onto the stage because it was just so, minimizing. And it was so just unexpected and inappropriate and so many things. And I took everything that I could and I walked on the stage and I said, hello, for clarity, my name is Cera Furiani and I am not the HR lady. I'm actually the chief people officer. I've worked with organizations, across the globe and, gave my little spiel and kind of just took that back. And this was, 10 years before we started our show. But that's kind of where it spawned from. So what's the fuckery? The fuckery is that, it's intentional mispronunciation. It's continued marginalization and harassment and rampant racism and sexism and misogyny. And that's just Steve kind of talk. And that's the fuckery. That's the bullshit. And HR always gets kind of caught, I think, in a dichotomy of, the bullshit exists, but you cannot compel the CEO or whomever else to make the radical changes necessary, until shit hits the fan, until somebody's suing you and it's public now. And there's a huge article in a prestigious magazine calling you out on your fuckery. And then it's like, now we need to fix it. And so that's it for me. I wanted to talk about that. We can all talk about building talent development plans and why onboarding is so vital. And those are important conversations too, and
there's thousands of podcasts that can give that
as
information
as you directly know, there are thousands of podcasts that can help you in various ways. Exactly. So we wanted to talk about things a little bit differently that people don't really talk about, but
that's
need to.
Taboo, it's not talked about because whoa, that's not a box that I'm supposed to check. And it's like, well, throw those check boxes away. Let's talk about real issues in the business.
Yeah. And how to solve them, because you talk about talent development and loyalty and onboarding goes a lot further when you're not bogged down by bullshit. And that's it, right? We started the podcast right before COVID, and we were actually supposed to launch at HR Transform, but COVID shut the whole conference down, as it did everybody. South by Southwest got shut down, whole world shut down. We all know the rest of the story.
Like a week before we were supposed to launch.
Like a week before. So we launched anyway. The show must go on, and we went virtual. And then what was so great was to really see, and it's terrible. It's rooted in tragedy, especially here in the US, with George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and then Breonna Taylor, so much things going on. And we're all just sitting around because we don't know what's happening in the world. It's scary times. And now we're looking at ourselves, our lives, our jobs, everything that we've accepted as like societal norms in work. And collectively, I think went, what the fuck are we doing? Why are we behaving like this? Why are we allowing companies to treat us like this? Why isn't this a big issue? And so I think it really came at a time where people wanted to talk about this stuff for the first time in a real meaningful way, beyond, putting your black box on your LinkedIn profile or throwing a rainbow sticker on something.
Yeah. And so many people were let go, so now they were like, you know what? I do have a voice.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say these things with you. And you would be surprised at, how many people contacted us privately and would be like, I just want you guys to know I support everything you guys are saying and doing, but I cannot do it publicly because my company will fire me. And it's like, that's sad. That's the fuckery.
That is the fuckery. And isn't it crazy how you're talking 2020, right? We're talking right now, you're talking about all the horrendous stuff that happened in 2020. But isn't it so sad that everything you're saying right now is incredibly relevant today? It just might be a couple months ago, right? You might as well just be talking about a couple months ago, right? It's just one awful thing replacing another, right? I mean, not equally as awful, but I think right now the big story is just these billionaires running rampant and playing
Space
Sims
Cowboy.
with people's exactly playing Space Cowboy. Couldn't have said it better, right? Couldn't have said it better. And then standing next to Dave Chappelle and messing with the people they just fired.
Yep, that's exactly right. It's wild. It's just times. Times are so, and you're right. It could be yesterday. It can also be 6 months from now, probably. And here's the thing. We're talking about it and we weren't talking about it before, and talk facilitates change. Before we were just tolerating it, right? We were just hiding it. We were just excusing Steve for his shit behavior. But, way back with the Me Too movement, I think COVID really enhanced that in a more workplace sort of setting. You see celebrities and people talking about their workplaces, but we don't think about them like workplaces, not ours. That's Hollywood. That's a casting couch. That's not the workplace. And it's like, no, that's the workplace. That is exactly the workplace. And we finally kind of caught on. And I think what's great is that I wish more has changed, but at least organizations, I'd say by and large, are really taking an active interest in trying to be better human beings. I mean, look, not all of them, clearly, but a lot of them, I think, are realizing, because the workforce just isn't there. They're demanding more. They expect more. And they're getting more, in a lot of places and organizations that are smart. So everybody, I think, is just following suit, hopefully, but change, as you know, is long and painful and slow, and this will be no exception, of course.
And I really long for the day that our early podcast episodes become dated, because that means change has happened. And until that happens, we're gonna keep going.
One of your episodes, I listened to a couple of them because there was a section that I need to do called in the article, like best episode to start off on. So I listened to so much. I listened to so many podcasts on that day. Just, you wouldn't believe it. But one of your episodes that I believe is really strong, it was A Tale of 12 Systems.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the episode you did on the systems of oppression, that was beautiful. And those are things that the discussion has to keep going, right? Yeah. We need to keep contributing to the discussion. And I also saw in the description for that video, I believe you said, like, I'm not talking about Reich. I'm not talking about like these systems. And I took a bit of an offense to that because I work for one of those systems.
Oh. Sorry.
But all the systems of oppression that you talked about in that episode and that discussion, it's more vital than ever right now, because the other side of that discussion, people are just getting louder and louder, right? I mean, the space that you guys are doing this in, the world of podcasting, it is right now so inflated with these dude bro podcasts.
Oh yeah.
Where people have like this anti-PC, anti-woke agenda, and they're always fighting the woke police and whatsoever. And they're doing it in a way that kind of excuses their just horrific behavior.
Yeah.
And so it is an incredibly vital discussion. But some of the more lighthearted things you guys talk about.
We try to keep it light. I mean, light adjacent.
We try to keep, even in the hard conversations and the darker moments, we try to bring some levity, because like it's hard to talk about, and we want to talk about it, but we also like kind of have to keep your attention enough to like really sink it in. That's why we like to do movie references and show stuff like that.
I think one of the running gags that you guys do, and not just in the show, but over Tara's LinkedIn as well, is just calling out these bullshit rituals at work.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Hawaiian shirt days and pizza parties and office snacks that we will get to that soon
And
enough.
bring your dog to work day.
Yeah, it's like so cliche.
It's like some people are also allergic to dogs. Are we not like?
That's not culture.
No.
Congestion.
Yeah.
So let's clarify it. What do you guys have against pizza parties?
I love pizza as much as the next person, but I love cash more. I love a hostile-free work environment where I don't have to fear, somebody saying something inappropriate to me or, feeling too comfortable or
just paying you less because you're a woman.
Paying me less. Yeah. Like I love pizza, but I really love like equity and cash and, being treated like a human being more, it's great if those things are, add-ons. And I think that was the original intention. It was meant to enhance and entice younger workers. And then it like started replacing salary increases and, slides became, the norm, became the expenditure as opposed to like meaningful holiday bonuses. And it's like, but we installed this whole playground. And it's like, I am 29 years old.
Like we have a foosball table. Like you should come and work for us. But we're gonna pay you bottom dollar.
Yeah, but
like,
you get down.
Maybe get benefits, maybe. And like, here's a snack room for you to help yourself out. There's all the kombucha in the world. Take it.
At one employer, a rat infested like the snack area.
Oh yeah.
And like all the snacks had like rat droppings all over them, and it was just horrifying. Like I love snacks, and I think when employers have on-site benefits and perks and stuff like that, it's amazing.
It's great when it's an add-on to the already good work that you're doing for your employees.
I was thinking about remote work, really, when I was thinking about office snacks. This came up because obviously, there's these mega campuses that a lot of the tech companies have, but a lot of the finance companies have as well. A lot of organizations in their corporate headquarters have lots of like restaurants and on-site dining and healthcare and all that. But when COVID shut everything down, it's like, well, that's not a benefit anymore. So are you going to give me whatever that equivalent dollar amount is in money? Yeah. Because I took this job knowing that this was a part of the package. This is how you sold it. Quite literally, that's how recruiters would sell a lot of tech people, is like the convenience of it, the free food,
there's an on-site chef.
Yeah, on-site doctor, all this stuff. And it's like, and now we're stuck at home and I don't have an on-site doctor or a personal chef in my house. So what are we doing? And that's where I think like it became so abundantly clear that there were organizations like using it as a part of salary as opposed to the perk that it was intended to be. I think the perk we all think it is. I can buy my own damn lunch,
Exactly. And how I experienced that is before COVID hit, I was not working in HR or anything corporate. I was a teacher. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, I was a teacher, and the way COVID hit me was it took me out of the school, and I had to do like these online lessons, and that's how it worked. And after I got into marketing and HR, my whole like white collar life was spent in front of a computer screen. I did not have the full office experience, and looking back, the whole pandemic and the whole remote situation, it just made people ask the question, are offices really necessary? Because they are pretty expensive. They are luxuries to have.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Or do you think offices are necessary?
No, I am so against offices. Like when the pandemic happened, I thought this is so amazing because think about the time that people get back. Like, let's start there. The time that you give back to employees from having to commute from wherever they are to an office each way, they get that back. That's an expenditure as well as a time saving from a business standpoint. To be able to have very minimal space, that is a huge expense. I mean, not just the building itself, but the way in which you have to operate that building and all of those associated expenses. It's great to be able to have in-person interaction. I'm for that. But if you do it in a strategic way, on a, kind of a schedule on a quarterly type basis, that can be so much more impactful for the team than just being able to sit around and, like, I got to experience a lot of corporate culture and in-office experience. And I can tell you that at least 75% of every Monday is spent talking to people about what we did on the weekend, because you don't do it all at once in some big group. You do it, throughout the day to 25 different people that you see. And then on Friday, we're doing the exact same thing, but about what we're going to do on the weekend. So there's at least 2 whole days during the week that you could probably account for just bullshit conversations that have nothing to do with work, but are the only way that you can stay sane in your workplace with those people. It's like, yeah, I have to talk to you about something other than all this stuff that we're having to deal with. And that's like, that's it. That's your only reprieve, but it's not productive. When you're at home, you can collaborate and just throw them on a Slack message for all to see what you did over the weekend. You can still have meaningful interaction, but instead of just stopping by an office and getting that drive by, you can actually plan to talk about something and then add in some color. Like, I am a huge proponent of just virtual and remote work. I think it works when you're intentional about it and you're not a control freak. But unfortunately, a lot of CEOs and boards are control freaks and need and feel compelled, even though they're not in the office a lot, need to feel compelled and productive and good about their workforce because they're in the office, and that means something. I know where they are. I know what they're doing.
If they're in the office, then they must be working, where it's, well, I just don't see the difference of, like, if I have, a goal that I'm trying to achieve and I spend 8 hours in the office or I spend 8 hours at home, I can still achieve the same things. If I need to link up with you, we all learned how to use Zoom, but still haven't figured out that mute button. But we all figured that out, and we can still communicate and still see each other and still, have this interaction without having to go to your office to do that. If anything, I think working from home is better in that sense. You can be quicker with what it is you're trying to do
and still have a life. I mean, it's output about what you're doing. I mean, how long that takes you should be predefined, but the output is like what you're really solving for.
Yeah, but
what about you? Are you on that tip?
If I have to play devil's avocado, and I full on prefer working remote, and a couple places I work, they debated, hey, should we have office days? And I was strongly against them. But one thing that kind of changed was remote work feels a little invasive to me. And when I'm having when I'm having a meeting, I feel like the people I'm in a meeting with are in my living room now. And like your living room, the space that is free of work suddenly becomes a bit too associated with work. And that was something that I struggled just a little bit with. Also, did work hours just disappear out of the blue? Like, did that happen to you guys as well?
Yeah. Night is day, day is night.
Yeah, the work day doesn't apparently starts at like 9 anymore. It just starts, it never stops. And
it never stops,
I mean, since like your main mode of communication is like either Microsoft Teams or email or text or whatsoever, they don't, some of the people I worked with, they just did not have those boundaries, right? If I can text you through the day, I can text you after 6 p.m. So
that's just like setting them. You got to tell people. You got to tell people, like, don't do that. Don't do that to me. Set your own boundaries.
And lead by that example.
And lead that way.
Exactly. And I want to talk about Terrible Media as an entity, because looking at the website, it's fascinating because you guys are doing a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
A whole bunch of stuff. You have the, if I'm not wrong, we have the Not the HR Lady podcast.
Yep.
We have Workations, you have Sale, and of course you have Punchline Sex Life, right?
Yeah.
So let's go. How did that whole thing come about?
Well, we started originally with just, Not the HR Lady, and it never intended to be what we did. COVID kind of shifted both Justin and my professions. My whole organization shut down, as did his. Roles were eliminated. And all of a sudden, we found ourselves with a podcast hobby, suddenly pivoting to go, okay, what do we do now? Because the whole world is shut down. Who knows what it will go back to? What does this look like? We have kids. Like there's things we have to think about. And so we did Not the HR Lady for 2 seasons, and which is great. We love doing it. Obviously, that's fun. We have done like 56 or so shows and episodes for Not the HR Lady, like live shows and things like that.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and at the same time began consulting. A lot of the work that we do and the things that we talk about, especially in this climate, are fairly well received at higher levels, because at higher levels there's no time for bullshit. And anybody who's spent any time up in the C-suite or at the leadership or executive level knows that you can't mince words. You have to be clear. You have to be intentional. Sometimes that change is hard, and companies don't want to do it and don't want to dig in as deep as they can. But that's for them to work through, and for us to help them understand how that looks and what that translates from a business perspective. So we started doing some consulting.
Yeah.
And Justin really runs kind of that arm of our business. And then I wrote a book, Fuck Your Office Snacks. And so you can buy that on Amazon, which is a look at historical corporate culture and employment, both domestically here in the US and internationally. And then it's, there's tales of workplace experiences, because a lot of what we kind of based the book on was about our show. There's movie references and TV shows to kind of encapsulate a point. And then every chapter is actually mansplained by Justin. And we did.
And it's not even like my own words. I take a quote from a movie.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's just kind of like funny,
Even more mansplaining. Well, we thought that was funny. So yeah.
Yeah, that's happened a lot we've gotten comments of people, just being dumb and trying to troll us, and it's like this is how we take that power away from them. It's now turn it into a joke,
And so we did that, and so that's great. And then sale leadership has been really an evolution of, I think, my whole career at this point. And it's a real actionable kind of self leadership program, to reflect, to really dig in and do some of the hard work that's required to be, I think, a successful leader these days. And it's also going to be my second book. So there'll be a book based on sale, which is also a leadership retreat. So this is part of like kind of a longer project, but essentially it's a leadership methodology defined by the book that'll be released, I think, next month. And part of a larger kind of leadership retreat and individual leadership retreat type session thing you can come to, which is really exciting. And then Justin's been a musician for 15, 20 years.
Like a touring musician for 15, 20 years. But I've been a musician my whole life. So it just kind of made sense to let's just kind of put it under there. And
we've been, and he, like he mentioned to you, I think earlier when we were chatting, he did all of the audio and all of the mixing and mastering. He plays all the instruments.
And with Punchline, we've been getting, because I did her audiobook. I've also done a couple more audiobooks. And with that, it was just kind of like people sending me their audiobooks to either record, or they're just sending me the raw tracks, and I clean it up and get it ACX certified and kind of send it back. So it's also kind of under all of that as well.
Yeah, and so with all of it, we do keynote speaking and the whole enchilada. So if it's something to do with business, essentially, leadership, HR keeps us busy.
That's awesome, man. Is there ever going to be like a Punchline Sex Life tour?
Oh, I
would
mean,
like it.
he
I
would
would like
to
be. I mean, with with work though, and everything's still kind of busy, but I just need to find the right people that have that schedule that can, work and still want to play music, and maybe so.
I feel what you're describing to me right now is me trying to get a D&D game together. That's
don't even get me started.
Ooh, you play D&D?
I used to, like, heavily.
And our son's about to start playing. He's in 6th grade.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show. They have a D&D club at his school.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Where was that when I was growing up?
I mean, right?
For me, it was I was told not to play that because it's like bad.
When did nerd shit become cool? When did nerds become sexy? And when did I miss out on that?
Same. It was obviously after I graduated, so
definitely. I'll say this though. I am the oldest in my friend group, but just by a year or two. Right? So when I was a fresh college graduate and I was just starting work, all my friends were still in college. And I used to run these weekly D&D games, and it was perfect for them, and they were having an easy time. I was just pulling one sleepless night after another, heading to the office, just coming back, and then running another game. All those guys graduated, and we can't play anymore. They can't handle that. No. They can't handle that schedule. Yeah, that is just one of my biggest gripes ever. Again, this is an HR podcast.
Okay, we have to have hobbies in this space.
But right? Isn't it? I mean, it's the human relationship, right? Kind of thing.
That's
like
right. D&D
so D&D, you bring people together, and they all have a common strategy, against the DM, who's trying to basically have a good story and kill you. So like everybody gets together and has a goal that they're trying to achieve, and for us it's changing the world of work.
Yeah,
that's our D&D game now.
Exactly. And so from the outside looking in to the whole terrible media stuff, it looks like you guys like the world shut down and you guys striked out on your own and did started doing what you like and bringing your creative sides into it and turned it into a business. And I feel like that is something a lot of people would love to do, right? There are so many musicians, literature majors, art or theater majors working in an office building right now. I don't know if they're listening to this, but there are a bunch of them, me included. So yeah. What were some of the challenges? What were some of the biggest challenges you guys faced as you were striking out on your own and integrating all that creativity into what you're doing?
Oh man.
I mean, there was a learning curve, I would definitely say, like, because with the podcast, me being in the recording engineering side, that was kind of easy. And then she wanted this I want a video element and stuff. So like, it's really kind of, I've never done video, so then it was like, well, now I want to learn this. And then it's now let's learn the space of podcast and web series. And, then it's really defining who we're trying to reach, I mean, that was like kind of hard, I would say, to really get kind of a hold of people and get them to kind of see that like, this is not your normal podcast. It is not suitable for work.
Yeah.
Like you really don't want to just put this on and
like good thing the world shut down because like you can't listen to this at work. You got to put on headphones.
Yeah.
I think that that was the biggest starting off. That was the biggest. So the hardest thing is like it's still hard and every day is a constant struggle, battle, fight. I mean like it's a constant. You can't just sit back and collect a paycheck. There's no paycheck if you don't work. And that work is so many multifaceted things. To Justin's point, you know, we were doing it all ourselves. And that's marketing the podcast, putting all of our content together, building YouTube, you know, thumbnails, figuring out how to make YouTube work for us, where we put videos. Like, we'd never done any of this stuff. And then, you know, should we have a newsletter? Let's build a website. We did all of it. Like, everything that you see is done by us. And that was like 20 different jobs probably.
Yeah.
All at the same time, trying to help clients we were working with, delivering. I do completely custom keynote speeches for every client I work with. I don't reuse anything. And that's a lot of work. And on top of it, trying to build a brand and create it's a struggle every day. There has to be a lot of intentionality.
And leadership courses.
Yeah. And then building sale and writing books. Like, it's a choice every day. It's a choice to get up and go, you know, I want to make this my livelihood. I don't want to go back in a corporate space if I don't have to. How can I keep this going? What can I do? How can I keep pushing? And I'll tell you that a lot of days were way harder than days that I've ever had in a corporate setting, even on the worst days. In corporate setting, you know, there are days when getting out of bed was really hard, because it's not a 6-figure salary that I have anymore that's just coming in biweekly. It's not health insurance that I get from an employer where it's 100% premiums paid and I only pay some deductible. It's all us all the time. And not having that kind of like stability where I've always had it, where you've always had it. I mean, for the last 20 years, that's really something. But when you're smart, I think about it, and you approach it strategically, you make good financial decisions, you utilize your credit and work that angle, like especially here in the US, you know, you can make your credit work for you and at the same time build up your credit score. Like, you can do a lot of things that I think really help, you know, make it a little bit more feasible. But I mean, there are times and days and stuff where we're way over our head.
Yeah.
I
think that's why we even brought up in some of the episodes of, you know, just mental health, you know, and it's okay to take a day off for mental health reasons, you know, because you do get overwhelmed, and it makes no sense to come into work when you're not yourself and you're not in the right space. So, I mean, for us, that happened, and it still gets there every once in a while. But you know, and I think for every troll, you know, that we get, that's just more fuel for us to keep going. That means we're hitting a nerve somewhere in this white cis usual male like attitude, and it's like, all right, so like we're hitting a nerve. That means we're still making the right, you know, decisions and choice, and we just keep going. Like, if there was any advice I could give to people, it's to just keep going. Like, if you've got something that people are listening to and that's taking off, you know, keep going. Like, do it.
Beautiful. And were there ever any moments of burnout through the whole process?
there were months of burnout. Literally.
I would say, like, in the beginning, for me, there was a lot of burnout because I was still learning how to edit video. That was something completely new for me. And, you know, I had the audio side kind of done. Like, that was easy, running it through, mastering it, mixing it, getting everything nice. That was fine. It's the video. And I mean, the first episode took almost a week or 2 weeks.
I think it was 2 weeks.
2 weeks to edit and then get that together with the audio and then put that out. And
then I'm frustrated because he's frustrated. He doesn't know what he's doing. I can't imagine how hard this could possibly be because I'm a jerk, obviously.
No.
And I'm like frustrated at him. Like, if you can't figure this out, like, should we outsource it? Like, what should we do? Like, we can't take 2 weeks. This is crazy.
It's not a weekly show if it's every 2 weeks.
If it's every 2 weeks.
Yeah. And then, you know, I think I spent a lot more time trying to figure out how to like optimize my video editing and
you're a quick learner
different
as
programs,
well.
and then I got it down to shit. I can have it done the same day we record it.
Yeah,
you
like
know?
a couple of hours.
And then it's all just like good. So like that burnout's gone. I don't think anything with the show other than that beginning aspect we've been burnt out on, because it's really fun and just a lot of like off the script. You know,
and we don't have a script.
She sends me, and we talk about it a little beforehand, like kind of bullets,
like an outline of what we want to cover.
of what we're gonna cover, and then it's just kind of like go.
We're really good, and we don't do like multiple takes. Like I think there's been 2 times where We've camera has malfunctioned or something like that, and it was like an important camera.
Well, it's her camera. It was your.
Oh yeah, that was right. It was
front
mine.
shot that malfunctioned and it got corrupted, and it's like, oh man, we have to do this again.
And we don't, like we said, we don't script it, so it's like, oh fuck, I was funny that time. How am I gonna be funny again? And somehow it works.
It's like we like to do it like a live band where it's one shot all the way through.
Yeah,
you really
no
get the best kind of emotion out of it.
Yeah.
You should see my outtake reel for the Teamflect YouTube channel. By the way, Teamflect YouTube channel, your best source for anything Microsoft Teams related. Back to us. Now,
I like the plug.
My outtake reel is horrendous, and I edit part of it, and then someone I work with, a really good friend of mine, Doa, he does most of the fancier transitions and the music and all that. But I record it and then I chop it into bits. But one time the software we use kind of glitched, I think, because all my outtakes were in the video and the whole like timestamps just shifted. And
oh no,
he got the video and he said, Emre, are you doing okay? Like, is everything all right? Because it's just 5 minutes of me cursing, getting up, going for a smoke, and just pacing around the room.
I love it.
I love that. I don't think that's happened with us before.
Where we've put I don't think we have. We have outtakes. Like we have some outtakes.
There are times like where we'll stop and then just kind of be like, okay, like let's bring this back in. Okay?
Yeah, we got to rein ourselves in sometimes. And sometimes we do this, like we drink a lot on the show as well. And our biggest sponsor is a winery, and so a lot of times that like we could have already had a bottle before we're drinking the bottle we're drinking on the show, and it's like maybe that happens sometimes, and then it's just like, oh no, if anything goes wrong, we're gonna be too deep.
We have to find a way to reel it back in, but then that's the power of editing, you know, like
try getting a dog and recording in the same room. You guys will drink a whole lot more.
Oh, I believe it.
We have 5 kids.
We have kids.
So like,
sometimes
like, I think there is one episode where I think you hear
like
Stella or something like knocking on the door. And I think you see me like look over, but then it's like, we kind of keep going. And I think you mentioned it.
Yeah. But, our daughter was just knocking like,
yeah, it's like, it's no big deal. Whatever. Like we do this at our home, so, and we're not ashamed of that, you know. Keeping it real.
And I'm not gonna keep you guys here forever, but
I'm having a wonderful time.
Yeah, this is fun. We haven't been on a show in a while.
Happy to hear that. Well, you might change your minds with the next question I have for you.
Okay.
Because you guys, you have kids, and are you married or?
Yep.
Okay, you're not living in sin. So, what are some of the you're working with your significant other, and that can't be easy. That just can't be easy. So, are there any moments where, it just becomes difficult to work with your significant other? And what advice would you give to someone who wanted to work with their partner?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. You should answer this question, because I'm just like bitchy. Well, I'm a really good leader to my team, but like to your point, he's my husband, so it's completely different. Like I can look at him and go, "What the fuck, dude? What do you mean we have to completely redo this whole episode. We've been talking for 30 minutes, you know?
And then I go, well, I'm going to go to HR. Hey,
Yeah.
Cera, like that. I would say the biggest component is communication. Like you have to be able, and I don't mean that so cliche. I mean, communicate your feelings, communicate the emotions that you're having, the needs, you know, like I want to do these clips for you, but I don't think what I'm putting together is funny. So if you could maybe go through some of this and jot down some lines that you think is funny for a sizzle reel, that would help me really kind of understand what you're looking for.
And that's a real scenario.
This
really
is a very real scenario.
He
so
made
like,
something and I was like, this isn't good.
This isn't good. And I'm like, oh my God, I think this is great. And she's like, this isn't funny. This isn't what I'm talking about. So then I communicate that to her. And it's like, well, then I need your help to kind of put something together. Once I see what you're looking for, then I can pivot to like more that direction. So, I mean, if you're looking, you know, people are looking to work with their significant others, you have to have a open communication relationship, and that's just with everything, like how you're feeling, what your needs are, and everything.
And you have to leave work stuff with work. Like it can't be a fight that carries over when you're making dinner on something that you guys kind of had discord about in the work time. Like separating your work and personal lives, even though you're with the same person for both, it really does help. You have to think about it more transactionally when you're doing work together. It's less emotion, even if it is more emotion, because it is your partner and it doesn't sound less emotional. You know, it has to be a little more transactional, because then when you're off the clock or when you're not in business mode, you know, you can be back to like a mutual kind of give and take relationship instead of something that is just transaction driven. But letting stuff carry over from one place to the other, you know, that's not good for anybody. And it's not healthy for a relationship. You should be talking about those things, working through it, and not bringing it over to dinner, you know, as anybody can. I mean, you bring shit home from work to your spouse or to your roommate or to your dog
or your
partner or whatever. Anyway, like, you know, have those moments, but have those moments when you're still in work mode, and then leave it wherever that is and go about the rest of your personal life. Like don't commingle the two. It's easier said than done, but when you're intentional about it, I think that, you know, you can really make it work. Now you're in kid mode. You're not in
we're not in work mode.
We're not in work mode. It's dinner time.
Exactly. Because I can't imagine, right? In the dinner table, how was your day, honey? Oh my God, the HR lady at work.
You know, I mean, and so what's really interesting is it gives us so many more other things that we can talk about, like music. I mean, you know, music is a part of Terrible under our like larger umbrella, because it's like Justin's passion. I'm passionate about it too. Obviously, our kids are all musical as well. And that's great and fun, but it gives us things like that's not really business. You know, that's family, that's fun, that's things to talk about. And the kids want to know, like, they think it's cool, like whenever we're quoted in something, or if I'm talking to like a cool organization, or if we record an episode, like our kids watch our show whenever we do a live show and stuff, and a new episode comes out. So we try to involve our family in different ways, talk about work differently. Instead of talking and deciding on work, we can talk about work as a family. And I think there's a difference there. We're not strategizing or still pissed off at whatever happened earlier. Now we're just talking about the other cool stuff.
And they're the next generation of the workforce, and, you know, music listeners and music makers. So it's really good to get their take. You know, when I finished the EP, you know, I asked them, like, what do they think? And they loved it. And, you know, what would you do? And they were like, well, can I pull it up on YouTube and sing karaoke to it? And I was like, no, but now you can. I've put that up on there. I went ahead and stripped out the main vocals, and now like our kids will do karaoke and pull up one of my songs and sing it. So it's like, what can I get from them, you know, that can help me be a better leader, or really kind of connect with that next generation.
Beautiful. And I think we are hitting the hour mark. So I will slowly wrap this thing up now.
Okay.
So Guys, thank you so very much for coming on the show. Do you have anything new coming out anytime soon? Do you want to plug anything? Now's the time.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, Sail. I'm launching Sail Leadership, which will be a book first next month, and our Sail Leadership program, which will take off shortly after that. And you can find more at notthehrlady.com/sail, or just click on Sail when you're on our main website. And Justin's full-length album for Punchline Sex Life, we're hoping is going to come out in January of 2024. So you can check that out at punchlinesexlife.com or Spotify or wherever you like music. And you can learn more about that kind of works as well. I think it'll be a great album. I'm with you on Catapult. That's the kids' favorite song for the most part as well.
And it's so funny because that was not the intention of that song. Find a Way Out was supposed to be the hit.
And I was like, no, it's going to be Catapult.
No, it's Catapult.
As a musician, I know I don't get to choose what people think are the popular songs.
And as the business executive for his music, I also agree with you on Catapult. So do our kids. So do most of our friends. So I think that is what we're going to try to really push for, like a first single for his album.
Yeah, that song just has that, Scott Pilgrim threshold vibe to it.
Yeah.
Really. So
it really does. That I've never thought about that, but yeah, I can totally see Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Like
exactly. Oh, they're coming out with a new animated series version of that, by the way. And
I didn't know that.
Voiced by the same exact people, right? So Michael, Cera, Aubrey Plaza. So I feel like that's going to be really good.
That'll be really good.
That's going to be good. By the way, before we close out the show, I was looking for someone to nerd out with this over. So Justin, I just bought the sickest guitar pedal, right? It's coming over. I'm really stoked about it. Do you know the RK Fly Rig by Tech 21, right? It is Richie Kotzen's pedal.
Okay.
And it's this massive board. It has built into it a SansAmp, a distortion pedal on the side, reverb, and a tap tempo delay.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I'm gonna pair that out with a Crybaby One. It's gonna be sick. So,
man, that's kind of like the best of everything. So, like for me, I've never been the like kind of one board has it all kind of person. But like, I mean, I'm looking down here right now. I've got a little muff for my distortion. I have a really cool like super octave pedal for doing some cool stuff. Obviously you got to have a tuner, but a Crybaby, like the best wah pedal you can buy, and then a Boss DD6 for the digital delay, specifically the DD6. Like it's got the best delay and like reverse delay that you can have. And yeah, I've got some more. They're like all around here. I like back here, there's just all kinds of stuff. I've got multiple guitars, basses and stuff. So like, yeah, I think it's good if it is like it's like one rack, like it's one kind of thing, and it has a SansAmp in it.
Yeah, that's
cool.
what kind of that's what sold me out on it. It was kind of like the best of both worlds. And if you are looking for the best of both worlds in terms of performance management inside Microsoft Teams, then you should give Teamflect a look. Just go to teamflect.com. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you find podcasts, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. That was the smoothest transition I could ever pull off.
You're a pro.
You're a pro. You've done this before.
I don't know. I think you and Justin should maybe start like some kind of music podcast or something. You guys could talk music, pedals, and what. I don't know what you two are talking about right then. I'm like, what? A Crybaby? Like what? I don't know what it is. I'll see myself out of that one, but you guys should start some kind of music podcast.
All right, music and D&D, perfect new podcast.
Like, there's got to be a niche for that, right?
There's
like,
got to be.
People will be like, what? Two of my favorite things. Like, Luke would listen to it.
Yeah.
Most old-fashioned nerds were also like metalheads. So
there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. I think you're exactly right. It's like Eddie from Stranger Things.
Yeah, really is.
Exactly. Oh, I think it's his fault that nerds are sexy now.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah. And Michael Cera. What you mentioned
and Michael
Cera. I mean, he's like the sexiest nerd of all. I mean, he's so adorable.
He's so funny.
I just want to squeeze him. Anyway, this has been so fun. Thank you for having us.
Great.
Yes, thank you guys for coming on the show. I don't know what time it is over there. It is around 9 p.m. over here.
Nice.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Yeah. Awesome. So have a great rest of your day.
Hey, good night. Get some sleep. We'll talk to you later. It's been fun. Bye.
Bye-bye.